Hello, everybody, and welcome to another inspirational conversation. I'm Claire Westwood, the Chief Creative Maverick, here to activate luminaries all around the world to live their purpose and fully express themselves. And today, I'm really thrilled to be talking to Abby. And we haven't met in person. This is the first person I've interviewed who we haven't actually met in person, but I've been following on Instagram for a while, and I absolutely love what she's created. And I reached out and said, do you fancy meeting up and talking for my podcast? And it is 5 a.m. where Abby is and 7 p.m. where I am. So the light is quite cozy and dusky and hopefully atmospheric for our conversation. And yeah, we're going to be talking about Abby's evolution and healing and the rawr method that she has created to help people to embody and heal through movement. So good morning, Abby. How are you doing this morning?
Good evening, Claire. So good. So nice to be. So nice to speak about it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, and so just a pre-warning, Abby has got quite a story of trauma and healing, and we will be talking about that as we go along. So I just wanted to mention that up front, and we'll do it from a healed and insightful perspective. So that's where we're coming from in the conversation today. So Abby, I mean, I don't know anything about you really, or your journey. So do you want to talk a little bit about, you know, your childhood and what that was like? Like, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Lawrence, Kansas, and so if anyone has like a connection to Kansas, yes, that is that's where I grew up in a small town,
Okay.
of Lawrence, and then I up there. So I danced all my life. Started,
Okay.
and then I started to dance. 6, 7. So I was an altar. So that is where a lot of my work now is inspired by how that movement so my body. So I did that for a very long time, and I stayed until I was 17. Then I moved to Los Angeles, arts, and then that was that's a whole different thing. But I went to dance and ended up doing a lot of theater and TV and film. And actually did dance outside for about 10 minutes. So I didn't really dance for 10 minutes. And then I got pregnant and I ended up in Australia. So I feel like I've lived a lifetime in one lifetime. It all seems so different, but all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I think that's really common with everyone I'm talking to, and this is part of the reason I love having these conversations. Like, we think, you know, or people have this kind of goal sometimes that life is like a spreadsheet where we tick these things off, and there's not one person I've talked to who's actually followed a kind of a regular path. It's always been twists and turns and kind of following the next thing. So when you were dancing as a child, like, what kind of dance were you doing, and were you aware then that it was you know, something that really I mean, I don't know how I won't put words in your mouth. Actually, how did you experience dance when you were growing up, and what sort of dance did you do?
So what's super interesting is I was in jazz, tap, ballet, like the whole body dance is an offer. That was it. And at the same time, I was so I was in the space of, but also in the space of also. So it's been super interesting to have that dichotomy of that jump, that body, while still very slave. So I think at the time, if I had to connect to my body in the present time, I feel like dissociation is a comments, right? So survive. So movement still meant so much to me. It's every safe space, but internally, so dance, it's super interesting, but dance can bring out of are feeling safe.
Yeah. Yeah. So your sound is breaking up a little bit. So we missed some of the crucial words there. But
Oh no.
I'll try and interpret slightly. So you did basically kids dance classes, so whatever was available, like ballet, tap, jazz, that kind of stuff. And I think there was something about, you know, being in your body and learning, you know, feeling like the expression through dance, but it's still not freedom because you're kind of following some kind of prescribed steps. Or did I mishear you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So when like when you're learning choreography and technicality, it's very different than allowing your body to have expression.
Yes.
You know, and if you're going to make things at the same time, you quite dissociate. Like you're there, but you're often so I was connected, but I wasn't. So it's kind of, which we are, right? Connected, that we're dissociated. But at that time, I didn't awareness.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing of embodiment, the lack of awareness. I was young, well, so I didn't.
Yeah, totally. And I'm remembering as we're talking, I wasn't very sporty at school. But when we were in the sixth form, we were allowed to choose like physical activities to do. And one term I did ice skating, and another term I learned something else. And then I did Latin American and ballroom dancing classes. And then I never did anything else. So like every PE session when I was like in the sixth form, I did Latin American and ballroom. But that was similar because it was like I was learning to move my body, but in a very prescriptive way. So I kind of enjoyed it because I liked learning and I liked the feeling of, you know, doing things well and getting certificates and that kind of thing. But it's very brain based. And then when I got to kind of 18 and left home and started going to nightclubs, it's almost like, oh, then you can just move your body however you want. And I remember that feeling like being totally different, of sort of hearing and feeling the music and just moving in a way that felt good and that I wanted to move, that was not at all what I'd learned in those classes.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing, and that's why I get so many students that are like, I don't dance unless I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to having that expression. And, you know, if they did have that expression, there was still judgment and shame, be free for whatever reason, you know. And that is a big thing. So, to know that you have permission to self.
Yeah. And I know I love going to like outdoor arts festivals where there's kind of music and theatre and performance and, you know, dance and all sorts of things. And generally, if there's live music playing, you know, there'll always be toddlers just jigging around because they can't help themselves. You know, it's like innate in them. And then sort of the older they get, the less likely they are to move. And then there's a whole bunch of adults just stood there rooted to the spot, and there's a handful of people sort of dancing, and my body is just like, I literally can't stand still if I'm listening to music. So yeah, it's really interesting sort of watching people.
Yeah, it's funny because my daughter, she's about 6, her name is, it's like there's not she dances every. And her teachers told me yesterday they do like a dance thing in class. She does not care. She's like, it was in her own space, just feeling, and they were almost so surprised.
Yeah.
Like they were so surprised by that, and it's going to be something that I have to study. So because I know someone is going to shift that in because it hurts. You know, when people get insecure, get intimidated. No, because they're not embodying that themselves. That's where like stop expressing ourselves. It's because something stops it.
Yeah.
Something stops us.
Yeah.
And that's why you see a whole post. It's like I hear it, I know I wanted to, but something has happened that is allowing. So
yeah, so we've either got, you know, judged or criticized or ridiculed by a friend, or, you know, told we weren't dancing properly or in the right way, or, you know, I talked about creative trauma and creative wounds with artists in other conversations, and it's like these things can stay with us for such a long time. but it's good to remember that these are innate in us. So when we look at small kids, we're like, we were like that, and we literally couldn't stop moving when we heard things. And I guess with your daughter as well, because you're modeling it all the time.
All the time. Same with my 1-year-old. Now she's just like clapping and but they don't know anything else either. You know, they don't, that is their upbringing.
Totally.
And I will keep that going for them. But they know that. But not everybody does.
Yeah.
That makes me, but that's it.
Yeah.
More
so let's wind back then. So you went to LA and you got involved in film, TV and that kind of stuff, but you weren't dancing. Yeah. And so tell me a bit about that period of your life.
Very numbing. I was very like addicted to alcohol and drugs. And I think because in my body I right?
Yeah.
I grow up in childhood. Our bodies store, right? So there's something sensorially that I remember.
Okay.
So for me,
you're breaking up a little bit again, but I'm trying to lip read a little bit.
Oh.
So basically, it just comes and goes a little bit, but that's fine. We'll work around it.
All right, let me just I'll try to keep closer.
So you had trauma as a child?
Yes.
Or later on in life? Okay. So trauma as a child, and what you're saying is your body remembers it, as in the body keeps the score, which is another thing we've talked about in a different conversation. And so your body felt that there was something wrong, but you couldn't articulate it. So you're kind of self-medicating, disconnecting, using drugs and alcohol, which is incredibly common, or any form of addictive behavior.
And it's super interesting that I stopped being that made me happy as well. So
that's part of the disconnection, is like things that connected to yourself, you're like, I'm not going to do them. Okay.
Whenever I don't dance, it's a really bad thing. Like dance has become that space of grounding by everybody needs something. Something. And I think because of that not knowing, fall into bad habits, and I call them habits. Like, yes, they're addictions. I do are from something that we're trying to understand, but we go the wrong way about it. And I think for me, I was trying to understand, but the only way that I could do it was like, I'm numbing myself. I don't understand. I'm super frustrated. So I think, and then a lot of that changed when I was frustrated. And after I had my
and so in that period, I mean, so obviously things change, you know, when you become a mother and that kind of thing. So how did life evolve, you know, when you became a mom and you've been through these sort of addiction journey or what have you, like, was there a turning point, or more than one turning points probably, or was it kind of a gradual something that happened?
Well, I mean, children are often a reflection. So, and I had my son, I had some birth trauma. And then, of course, talk about so, and then I was in a brand new. So I had kind of loads of things. But I feel my son activate my, because when you're around children, you know, like I heard things come up, and that's when I started small, like very sounding. But I was like, I know this is
okay. So you're so caring for your son kind of began, the trauma began to emerge in little pieces that you'd kind of not been consciously aware of before. Okay.
Which is interesting because I've been a nanny my whole life, but it's because mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I opened a dance studio in Australia, and super interesting that the children that I was practicing, a lot of them, some,
Okay.
and I didn't put that out there. Like I didn't like, hey, children that have trauma,
Yeah.
they just started space.
Yeah.
So that did a lot. Well, so I would have to say children,
Yeah.
like children and stories, and then I started a lot in that.
Yeah.
But through body.
And so how did you discover that this was true about the children that you were teaching in your dance school? Were they sharing with
The
you, or?
expression. Yeah,
Okay.
they're like the safety of expression.
Yeah.
Studio, you know. It wasn't just jazz happening. I was taught. It was that still I was that they had like, and because they felt empowered, but something feel empowered to see, share.
Yeah.
And a lot of the parents, some of them know it, it's tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah.
A lot of them were like, why are my sharing? That's the story. Take space.
Yeah, so the feeling of safety, but also maybe the reconnection with their body, but in a way that felt, as you said, in a way that felt empowering, rather than being, I don't know how to describe it, at the mercy of somebody else or what have you. It's like, it's kind of, the phrase that's coming through is a bit of a cliche one. It's kind of taking your power back, but it's that whole thing of, yeah, I'm empowered to feel this, and therefore, it's going to come up, but I'm in charge of this process rather than something happening from outside, I guess.
Yeah, and I think for me, what I started to super interesting about why I teach is I was growth by pharmacy. So that's why I didn't.
Okay. Yeah.
So like my body remembered.
Yeah.
So when I was going, it was like I had to go practice over as well as therapy. So when I went to therapy, I had like a notebook. I was like, please explain this to me. Tell me why this is happening. Like I didn't go and be like, how does this make me feel? I went with like, I need answers.
Yeah.
Like I need to know.
Yeah.
And it helped me so much understand. Like it really super challenging. So much of my childhood had been such a disconnect, but also I was very much alive.
Yeah.
No, like it's like you're alive. It's almost like not at the same time. So much that got to that I've had to for myself as my current self.
Yeah.
Not the self.
Yeah.
Big
yeah. Yeah. Amazing. And so so you started teaching children, and then I mean the method that you're using at the moment, or that you've developed, or however you want to describe it. I mean, how did that come about?
So it shifted. So, like how like we spoke about in the beginning, like timeline. It's like I've been guided to spaces. Like if I hadn't have taught children first, I wouldn't have been able to focus. Because the children also remind you of that joy, that expression. And often that is what it's lacking.
Yeah.
So bringing that into my work. So I've had so many different methods of my work while coming to the project. Because I would still still trying to figure out what it was. But I knew what I wanted was for women and children, which I stopped teaching. Because it was getting a lot. It's a lot to teach that word kids.
Yeah, especially with all the kind of, you know, the revelation and the healing that's happening underneath. It's not just you get the kids in and they have a dance class and then they go off again. It's like there is a lot of stuff going on there.
No. And listen, maybe one day I'll go back to it now that I have a more distinct method. But when I did it and it's like kind of winging it, trying to see what was here, that did not work. But I do believe I will teach kids. Like definitely my method is more modelized. It's less about them speaking about things and more about them grounding it. It's the same with adults. Well, so when I started to teach women, that was massive. Because women and men are just little kids bodies.
Yeah.
That just need a little bit of guidance to know that it's okay and that they don't have to carry. That's been big. And I'm a mom, and I'm also naturally a nurturer. So in my work, there's been struggle because think about our parents. I would say, there's been a very small amount where there's a lot of people that don't have from a parent. So when you're kind of a body that film of self, it comes up natural. But what try to do is not stay in the darkness. How that happened? Of course that happened. And it's also so weird. So how are we to found inner pleasure and play? How are you bringing that in? What happened? Always present.
And so much, you know, so much in life and adulting is trying to I think things are changing a bit now. Thank goodness for kind of this generation and this world we're in now. But the thought of sort of connecting again to play and pleasure and that kind of childlike exploration and just the self-expression, whether that's art or creativity or, you know, my thing, I've gone back to kind of improv classes, and so I'm expressing myself in different ways, but totally playful and silly and fun, but it can also be really deep. And I think it's like whatever connects us to that part of ourselves, and giving ourselves permission to kind of go there and do things just because they're, you know, they feel good and they're fun, and, you know, the healing will happen, like you say, automatically as soon as we start to connect to these deeper parts of ourselves. And that's sort of a massive thing. But so were you working with did you have people inspiring you or teaching you, or was this something that was kind of evolving as you went along the way?
No, I think, you know, I'm inspired by like those choreographers and inspired by their honesty. I didn't want to be a teacher that just was like, this is it. Because when it comes to embodiment, to have a level of passion, you can't just be like, you here. And that was very different from, I think, what I was taught. Like, you're in a group, but it's also don't mess up. And we got to get this right. But with this kind of and with adults, it's you know, it requires a level of leadership, yes, but also compassion, quite some way of expression. And my work, I've learned actually within the last couple of weeks, it's for everybody, BODY, everybody. But it isn't for everyone. Because you got to be willing to yourself. And not everybody is there.
So you give people like a warning before they come that it will shift some deep shit from inside them.
You know what?
Do you let them discover it for themselves?
Know, though. You never know. And I think that's the thing. I don't really have to sit with anything. It's just I feel the people that come are ready for that. And that I've been really lucky in. Like a lot of the time when an embodiment, that's gonna activate something in someone naturally that
Yeah.
they either may be
Yeah.
curious about it, or they're gonna die, or they're gonna be like, what is that? That sounds,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I've never, but sometimes get into it, like that was not what I thought. But I'm glad I'm here. Or they
Yeah.
never go back.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's like anything. It's like anything. It's just probably, it's probably more bold. And I think that's where we're not taught, especially in Australia. Americans are super emotional, super passionate in the way of our expression. So I'm an American in Australia, so that vulnerability and that expression is not as celebrated.
Yeah.
So when you're bringing celebration, that it's not that in that way. Yeah, there's stuff that's
Yeah.
and it's super cool. And it's also very very safe.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, so with the embodiment work that you do now, so I mean you've got 3 children now, is that right? Yeah. I remember when you were pregnant on Instagram.
Yes,
seeing all your baby pictures
taught
and your
me.
little one growing up, and then little pictures with the baby with the sister, and I was just like, oh my God.
Yes.
And then
they're all
and then I think there was one of
cool.
your youngest a little girl as well, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a 10-year-old boy.
Sitting in a high chair, and then I think you and your daughter like doing the thing, and your littlest one just
Like,
staring at you doing it. I was like, oh my
and
God,
now she's like,
imagine growing up in that environment. I was just sort of wow.
and now she's with us. So now she's walking and like
Yeah.
running.
Now you're walking, you can
laughing.
dance as well. It's all great.
We're all together. We're always all together. And it's interesting because my 10-year-old son is expressing, I don't know if I can dance. Like, no, we're not doing it. Like, and that happens.
Yeah.
They start getting into that, like, place and you don't want to force them, but it's like
yeah.
Yeah. Like, just because you're being by friends at school that they so
yeah, and that self-consciousness can come in, and it can really repress, so many parts of us so early on. It's it's incredible to yeah.
So I'm trying, I mean, all you can do is keep the example, and they always find their way back, but sometimes it'll cost. So they're here. Yeah,
that's amazing. And so for those, I mean, I don't have my own kids, but for those people who are listening, watching this, and who are juggling like living a purposeful life with motherhood, do you have any tips, any advice, any like how do you I don't want to say how do you make it work, because it's always a fluid juggling act, but how has it worked for you, or how do you get it to all flow together? Let's start there.
So this may be like super like, but how? I've always chosen myself.
Okay.
First.
Interesting.
So for example, like when I had Isaiah, I would bring him to stuff. I would bring him to class. I would bring him, so he's part of everything I do. And I know a lot of parents are like, I can't bring my kids with me. I can't do this, that, or the other. Okay. But how do you feel about self? Are you choosing yourself? Or is choosing yourself a chore? And then that causes anxiety, which then brings that energy to violence. I've never had that anxiety. I've always been like, this is what we're doing, get in the car. Put my baby in his carrier, we're going to get my nails done. And then I've done it with all my kids, and they're exactly the same. Okay, and it's because I believe it. Yeah. That I believe it. Like, I believe that I deserve to take care of myself. to be a good mother to them.
Yeah.
Like me taking care of myself allows me to be a good parent. If I didn't and chose them all the time, I'd be a hot mess, and so would they. So
Yeah,
even
for
right
sure.
now, my daughter just crept in here. So she left.
Yeah.
And she wasn't like, oh mom, but I'm hungry. Come do that, because she knows that
Yeah.
if the screen pops up or I'm in this place, that's mommy.
Yeah.
I'll find something to do.
Yeah.
But that's been implemented from when they were babies.
That's
like,
amazing.
This wasn't something I could just, like, even with my 1-year-old, she for a while did reluctance in my image. But
Yeah.
even still in that image, that's what's up.
Yeah.
She's knows.
Yeah.
And my 2 other kids teach her as well. And I know this is such a broad topic. I get asked this a lot. Like, they're so well behaved. It's so good. Like, and it's like, no, they're not well behaved because they're well behaved. They're well behaved because I've loved myself enough to show up for myself, and I've taught them.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Don't own them.
Yeah.
No, they want to understand. So I think in that sense that like children. So if we just allow ourselves to know what we want, that's the big thing. What do we want? Like, what do we want? That's not only as a mother, as a woman, or as a man or a father. And I think don't ask ourselves which is like, who are we after this? And people will say hormones and are not right. And that is also getting up in the morning, or putting on something that even those little bits of taking care of yourself will teach you and show you that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think a lot of the time there's a habit of being stuck in. So we decide. And I deal with a lot of that. They start with like, oh my God, that was so easy. It's like, but we just make everything so hard. And we're also just like chaos. I don't like the drama. So it's like,
and you know, that's the whole thing about, you know, we have to give ourselves to everyone and self-sacrifice, and you know, think that, and I think there's a whole thing of, you know, that, and again, I think this is changing slightly in some people, but it's almost like that's what a good mother is. And there's a particular radio show that I used to listen to, and people used to say, oh, I want to say, you know, to my wife, you know, it's her 60th or 70th birthday. She's the most brilliant wife and mother. She always puts everyone else first. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm not even a mum, but I'm going, this whole thing of like, she sacrificed herself for everybody, so she's brilliant. And I'm just sat there going, seriously? Like, do we still think this is a great thing?
And I know that well. Like, I mean, listen, I've done that with the kids, but I've also sacrificed myself for kids. I've sacrificed myself in kids. But I don't know why the specific kids I've done differently. Why? Maybe it's because I had a single mom that sacrificed everything, but still took care of herself. Like, that I did notice. Like, she would get her nails done, wake up early. So I guess it was an example. It wasn't the greatest mother, but that example I definitely thought of her. And I think with the mothers that I work with, it's taken them 4 or 5 years to class. It's not kids, or I haven't felt confident. And it's like, you gotta start. You gotta practice it. And I think that's embodiment work. Which is super sad, because embodiment should be a natural practice. Like, it should just flow out of us. But it's not that at all.
Yeah.
Have to work on it. Gotta practice it daily. So.
Because that's the other thing, is certainly, you know, the kind of the culture is very much disconnection from the body. you know, in the healing world, it's very much about we're reconnecting with our body, but in kind of normal 3D kind of culture, it's like our brains are really important and our bodies just kind of, we need to look after them to some extent, and they just carry our brains around, and it's like, well, okay, how are we?
Full.
Yeah, totally. And
you know, it's super interesting that you said in like the spiritual way as well, because I mean, I've been in the spirit. That can also be fun too, because lately I've been like, it's also bypassing, because you can go to a breathwork thing, guilt, that's it, and it's like, no, that is a practice, that is a modality, that is something that if that works, gotta continue. Can't be like, oh my God, I had this experience, I'm done. It's like, no, you gotta keep things going. And I think that's the one thing that's hard about like the spiritual kind of awakening thing. It can also be quite a mask to actually work. And I say this to workshops all the time, that the work begins if we're like, you have your own self done the work. That's when the work begins. So, because how do you bring joy in when you're healed, when you're used to chaos and pain?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta start living the work. The work, it's like when everyone's like, I've done the work, and it's like, well, you're not living it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had
I'm
a
glad
realization.
you've done it.
Yeah, I had a realization of a few, well, in the last few months, really, in that, you know, I'm now a postmenopausal woman, and things have changed, and things are different, and, you know, my body and brain have been rewiring themselves. I also went through an addiction recovery journey, and I sacrificed myself. I was a nurse and a coach and giving to everybody else. So I wasn't a mum, but I was like, burnt myself out trying to save the whole world. And, you know, recently I've just gone, like, my body's had to get used to the fact that life is calm. Like, I don't have any massive, you know, financial trauma. I went through a lot in my recovery, and, you know, things aren't very dramatic, and it's like, oh, I'm kind of undoing the addiction to the drama and the trauma and the chaos, and because my body was so used to it for such a long time. I'm like, oh, I can just sit under a blanket reading a book on a weekday afternoon, and can I let myself be calm and let that be okay? And it's taken a lot of rewiring kind of to just go, it's okay, Claire. There's nothing you need to, there's no one you need to be rescuing right now. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I'm allowed to be happy. I don't be in pain. That's a thing. And it's like, well, yeah, Abby, that's what worked so hard to achieve. You know, that's why you discovered all of the things that you discovered, why you now you have to live it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just also have to live it yourself. And it is super, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's what you're used to pain. Like, you have to choose it and you have to practice it. And I think people think it's like I said before, one thing about now, that's it. And that's not it.
No.
That's not even the beginning of it. The beginning of it is living it. And if you're not living it, then there's something else that may need to be better. A lot of that is embodiment. It's looking within your ancestral lineage and your based on. A lot of the work I do is like I call it the web. Like, what is it that you come from? Because that's where we come from. So even ancestral in our lineage and our conditioning, some of our habits and our addictions are conditions of our. So when we can do that, and when we can talk it, then we can feel something. But if we're just trying to go from thin air, nothing's gonna work. You gotta figure out what the foundation of it is. My foundation and my family, a lot of it is raised. Like, my mother was raised. That's how she had me.
Okay.
You know, like, that was my womb space.
Wow.
And that continued out of the womb as a baby. And they continued my whole life. I was sexually assaulted, and that's how I had my life. Like, that conditioning in that pattern. You can't cut those cords if you don't know what you're cutting. Then I found out that information, and then I was able to figure that out. Because I don't think people realize we can go to coaches, teachers, and experts, but power is with we're the only one that others can inspire space, but you've got to do it. And I think you can. Like the power is within.
Yeah.
Like you versus myself. We're here for little nuggets of wisdom and support. But got it.
Yeah.
Myself well, like
yeah, and it's you know, yeah, and it's an ongoing thing, you know, the whole thing about, you know, we're evolving, but it's a spiral, so we revisit the same things, but it may be from a different level or a different, you know, whatever.
It's easier.
Yeah,
it's easier. Like I get activated all the time by the same thing, but it's easier to digest. It's I know what that is.
Yeah, I think it's
like I know why.
Yeah, being able to step outside itself and there it is again, you know, like and also, you know, having tools to deal with it, having tools to process these emotions much quicker, so then we can get to the insightful bit. So instead of being triggered for like 3 months or, you know, a decade, it's like I'm triggered for like half an hour, and then I'm like, I'm going to go for a big long walk, and when my nervous system is calmed down, then I will take a look at myself. Like,
it's why so many marriages end, or why situations happen. It's especially in relationships, and like I somewhere else, like and like I think we talk about they've thought this, but it's like, well, why? Because obviously there's something not here. A lot. Someone is in their evolution, and the other partner is okay being here while you're growing, holding everything down, but they're not holding anything down themselves. So it's like that will never work.
Yeah.
That will never work.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, people try and have that passion, but I feel like the next step. Women are really they're going, they're doing it.
Yeah.
Men sometimes they just gotta catch up because we're moving very quickly in our effort. And unfortunately men haven't been taught how to do that. So they're a lot slower in that process. So, but I'm proud of our women. Women are doing it. They're really rising. So if you're listening to this today and you've been going for a hard time, celebrate yourself for a minute. World, present, aware, loving, passionate, all of the things. So if you're still here and you're still
amazing. So okay, so we're at the last little section now. So is there anything else you want to share or tell people that you haven't said so far?
I think if you're like interested in movement, dance, or in embodiment work, I think so many people think like they get really about what it is. Like, what is it? Like, if you give definition. The thing about the rawr method, it's like I love to use animals. I love to use the energy of how the essence of animals, and then they remind me of fun. And it's for me, an embodiment is the reflection of what it is to actually. And joy has to practice. It's not easy. And I think we're creating for it. Set it for about like chaos and trauma. So if you allow yourself to enjoy what is possible. And I think that's what I would like to talk. Like you're interested in for yourself. because I believe the other side is so nurturing, so tolerating. So
Yeah.
so 100%. So,
Yeah.
Part of why you were, and that, like I said, that's a process, but it can happen a lot quicker than you think. So, if you're interested in this work, yeah.
Yeah. You're cutting out now, so that's so frustrating.
Oh, it's okay.
It's
Whatever
fine.
pieces are you supposed to hear?
I know, exactly. I did have another interview that was a bit like this, and once the captions went on YouTube, the captions somehow knew what they were saying, so it actually didn't sound quite so bad. So we'll see how the recording turns out, but we'll upload it anyway. But yeah, so so what we'll do is, I mean, you can let people know where to find you, but we'll put all the links underneath the podcast and stuff anyway, and people can find you when they need to. And so we'll wrap up now. It's been really lovely talking to you, and the sun has come out behind you. The windows got light. It was pitch black when we started, and I can now see daylight. So it's daylight in Australia now. Amazing. And thank you for joining me for this amazing conversation, and thanks everybody for watching and listening.
Thank you, Claire. You are an embodied woman. Have a lot of insight and a lot of connections to self. So good.
Thank you. I've put a lot of work in. And I'll look forward to seeing you on Instagram, and I'll do another conversation very soon. Bye everyone.